Welcome to Good Morning Hospitality, your one-stop shop for the latest news, noteworthy trends, and thought-provoking discussions across the industry. From hotels and short-term rentals to all things travel and hospitality, you'll find each episode equips you with the information that you need to start your week. Join us on Good Morning Hospitality every Monday, wherever you get your podcasts.
Good morning.
Happy Monday.
That's right. We're back. It was a long weekend in the Golden household. My wife was out of town and the kids had the flu. So,
Oh, no.
yeah, long weekend. I've got a little cold myself now. I'm trying not to admit defeat to it, but powering away.
That is tough. 3 boys down for the count.
Yeah, well, we're here. We showed up. You know, it's half the battle. Happy Monday.
That is.
How was the weekends for everyone outside of being sick? Brandy, what'd you do?
I cooked a big dinner on Saturday night, which was nice. And other than that, it was a pretty chill weekend. I bought like $150 worth of books yesterday, so that was also great. I had $30 off at the bookstore, which means I have spent a lot of money at the bookstore. I was
Any
like, I don't
books
want
that stood out to maybe to you that you could share with us and the listeners that we should?
Oh, sure. Well, I'm a big fiction person. So the one I'm reading now is called God in the Woods or God of the Woods. And it's a fictionalized account of this disappearance in the Adirondacks of a pretty wealthy family up there that happened in a summer camp. And it's caused kind of a stir in the Adirondack community because some people are like, that's not what happened. It's like, obviously it's fiction. But so I'm curious to have my own take on that. And then another one is Nexus by Yuval Harari. So not fiction, but it's his kind of like explanation on AI and like human thinking networks and stuff like that. So I'm excited to read that.
Heard about that one. Is it?
Yeah.
You haven't got into it yet?
I just bought all these yesterday. So I'm about 5 pages into the first book.
You got to get on that. Go ahead.
Sounds like you built quite a bit of loyalty at this local bookstore.
I did. Great segue.
Yeah. No, but we're not. You're going off you guys are going off the chart. You have to get the Red Rising series though. You have to get on it. Like I promise you, you won't regret getting into that fiction series. Like it's so good. I'm in the 3rd book, about to wrap it up. 4th and 5th book, and 6th and 7th are on the way. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I will. I'll add it to my TBR list.
It's good. It's my niece thankfully doesn't listen to this podcast, but she's a big bookworm, so I got her the whole series for her birthday coming up in May, and I'm very excited because it was on her list, and now she doesn't have to get it because Uncle came in town. But really excited. For me, nothing crazy this weekend. Chill, workout. Go on a hike. Beautiful weather. I got a little bit of a sunburn. I don't know if you could see. But 65 degrees in Colorado was felt like summer. We had cornhole out. We were listening to country music, barbecuing. It was great. So good old time.
Denver sun will get you.
Yeah, it's great. I'm a big fan. But Jamie Lane had an interesting weekend for all of our listeners that were aware of his soccer or basketball mishap, and now he's got a soccer mishap. So shout out to Jamie for scoring for the wrong team, or at least his son scoring for the wrong team. Fun little story for any of the listeners that
I laughed out loud when I saw him text that.
So good. So
they have jersey colors. I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. I'm like, how does his son not say anything? Like the moment he's on the wrong side, just like, no, I need to be over there. But so funny. So good. But in other news, before we get into today's topics, our amazing partners and sponsors at Fido have made some big headway by acquiring another company in Dallas, Texas called First Waste Services. So they have a great bin to curb service, of course, adding into the Fido ecosystem of services for property managers. So Shout out to Fido for becoming the trash mafia with all these acquisitions. Golden giving you credit for that name because that's what he said in our group chat. The trash mafia coming in clutch and making waves as they are enhancing bin to curb services for property managers, just like our listeners. So if you have not automated trash today, go to getfido.com today. Let them know that the GMH crew has sent you, and they'll take great care of you. Now, let's jump into the number one topic, or the first topic at least. Brandy, do you want to kind of share some lights into the first one?
So talking about Verbo and One Key, and the conundrum that they can earn the points, but they cannot burn them, because for most operators or hosts on Verbo, they are still the merchant of record. And so obviously, if you're going to have a program where you're going to be able to spend points, the operators do not have the technology or mechanism to do that. So this kind of goes back to the age-old fight between who's controlling which parts of the business. And, a lot of OTAs now offer or insist on being the merchant of record. This isn't like revolutionary, but Verbo definitely is one of the last ones. And there's a lot of operators have feelings about this, and they obviously want to control, be the merchant of record, control who has the final say and who refunds. I mean, there's the classic example of Airbnb during COVID, just, unilaterally refunding. I remember that day. It was pretty painful. But on the other hand,
outrage.
Bloody
outrage. Sunday.
Yeah.
It was.
Real scary day for the bank accounts. But then on the other hand, I mean, if One Key is going to be successful as an all-encompassing loyalty program for the Expedia family, obviously Verbo, being a significant player in that family, has to be part of that loyalty program. So it makes a lot of sense, obviously, why they're, trying to figure out the mechanics of making Verbo merchant of record.
Yeah, I think the way Marriott has it set up, I love it. It's basically earn all your points on regular Marriott or on the card, and then go burn them on vacation rentals. But with Expedia, with Verbo being unable to use One Key at this point, the people that are booking their summer vacations, their $10,000 weeks at the beach, that's going to be a lot of hotel stays throughout the rest of the year. So it's almost can invert it a little bit. It just all depends on the customer profile. You take your family vacation to the beach, and then you and your wife can escape to, New York City for Christmas or whatever the getaway.
Leave those kids at home for Christmas.
Well, whatever. Not Christmas Day, but Christmas time. Yeah. No, you'd never want to miss Christmas with the kids. It's too much fun. But hey, I think it's maybe by an error on their side, but I don't see too many property managers actively changing the ability to control their own revenue sources and cash flow to be a part of One Key at this point. And I think they're going to have to put out a bunch of data to convince people that they're missing out on 5-10% occupancy by not doing it. So they might have shot themselves in the foot by doing it this way. I mean, there's really no way around it. Like,
I don't really.
Perks of Verbo is you get to remain the merchant of record. That was a big deal, to your point, Brandy, during COVID, and without being able to dictate where your money goes, that's a scary place to be as a business. They really, Airbnb being the merchant of record can change a policy at a whim, and that's that. So I think maybe pre-COVID, people would have been pretty quick to change the merchant of record and be part of this program, but it's going to be a tough sell for some of the larger companies to do.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things, as I was kind of doing research before this episode and trying to get my thoughts around this, because Michael, off screen, you said this is like a big puzzle that we're all just kind of watched, right? Like, you would think when they launched One Key program, they would have thought about the merchant of record piece with Verbo, but obviously it seems like a missed portion. And one of the incentives, or one of the interesting things, I think, with the Expedia versus like Marriott type situation, is that Expedia doesn't have as strong of a brand, in my opinion, from a traveler standpoint as Marriott does. I know tons of people who know Marriott by name. Yeah, people may have Expedia because they booked a trip once because they got a better deal. But the brand of Marriott is way stronger than the brand of Expedia. So the burn of rewards points is really interesting. And our friends at Marriott Homes and Villas gave us a ton of great stats. Brandy, when we were at VRMA, we got super insightful data, especially when we kind of covered a lot of it on the show in terms of ADR rates and how high those were, the conversions, the quality of the guest in general. And I just think it's it's a big differentiator when you have a stronger brand that can justify a loyalty kind of usage versus Expedia. Yeah, it's great if you book on Expedia or Vrbo or hotels.com every once in a while, but how often are you really getting those points?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of catch up. Marriott just being kind of like the star example of loyalty, like people who are like Delta, Marriott, people are loyalists, have been loyalists, and we'll talk later in the program about some of those specific loyalty programs. But it's all of these companies seeing the success that that kind of like visceral loyalty has and trying to replicate it. And I think that, if let's say they solve all of the mechanical issues and the technical issues and they get a good chunk of operators on board, there's still that like emotional component. Like, are people really going to be that loyal? Are they going to feel this? Is there a credit card that's connected to this so they can continue to earn those points in their daily lives? Are they going to switch from using their Marriott credit card or whatever to use the One Key card? So there are these kind of intangible aspects to these loyalty programs that are key to them being successful. And that will be, I think, lying a lot of the marketing around this once they get it all ironed out.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both. With Expedia, you can book anything anywhere, right? You can burn points that way. But with a Marriott, a Delta, a Hilton, a Hyatt, we'll touch on this and we can probably go ahead and blend it, Will. But it's a lot easier to be loyal to something you can touch, feel, experience, physical spaces, an airplane, a hotel versus a digital company. I think a lot of people would probably say they're loyal to Amazon. So I'll counter argument myself, but it's the experience that you get throughout the journey. And I think, like I said, there's big pros and cons. I think the One Key program, once it gets adoption and hits some level of critical mass, it can be an absolute force. But, on the loyalty numbers, I'm a member of Hilton, I'm a member of Marriott, I'm a member of Hyatt. I think that's the only three on my list. But those are the hotels I enjoy staying in. I also enjoy boutique hotels. I also stay in short-term rentals. I think it all kind of plays in with one another. And if One Key does pull it all together, that becomes rather attractive for me.
Yeah. And I also think, and kind of to your point, Michael, we can segue into the next topic, but I want to know we saw a lot of good data about Homes and Villas quality of the members that were using the points and booking their stays on Homes and Villas and all that good stuff. With these metrics and these numbers, I kind of count them as vanity metrics in terms of the hotel loyalty programs, because I can get, as a front desk agent, I got so many people to sign up for Marriott Bonvoy that were first time bookers. But guess what? I guarantee you they book one trip a year. So like, how good of a quality, or maybe even less, right? Like they could maybe book every 2 to 3 years. So the numbers that don't get reported on these loyalty hotel programs is their quality of the guests in terms of how many bookings are there, right? Like they don't break it out by tier. They don't break you out. They just tell you, 227 million or whatever, right? The number.
Yeah.
So let's go into the.
Yeah, bring that chart back up real quick. And I love the term loyalty because it's quite the opposite. I mean, it's a points scheme, at least for me.
Yeah.
I am loyal to Delta. A large function of that is because I fly out of Atlanta and there's direct flights everywhere. It's a function of convenience, and the like the point systems. I have points on Marriott. I have points on Hilton. I have points on Hyatt. I have, Citi credit card points or Capital One credit card points or Amex credit card points. So my loyalty is more towards my points, but that becomes that kind of goes into our next topic of you have to have ways and incentivize people to burn their points, not just earn. I mean, I'm sitting on a ton of points I haven't used because we're in a challenging phase of life with little kids where we're not taking trips all the time and we're not booking flights and staying in hotels all over the world. Hopefully that day comes again in the not too distant future, but it's not right around the corner. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna be sitting on points. And the loyalty comment is a funny one to me because like my dad was loyal to Marriott, but I have had great stays in Marriott's, but I've also had them in Hyatt's and Hilton's and Wyndham's and all the others. So I think the power becomes, how can you get people to earn points in your program? And then you need to find ways like short-term rentals, like Marriott did a great job of, and like some of the other flags are doing with experiential hospitality or outdoor stays, find ways that they can burn them in places that they're not typically, not a city center hotel brand.
Yeah. I think that's the interesting part as you've watched these big hotel flags add these, maybe previously unusual brands to their, to their group. It's exactly to your point, trying to give people different ways to burn, but then also seeing, okay, where are we losing customers right now, and trying to create an ecosystem so that you will, if you're going to go glamping, maybe you'll just specifically choose the glamping company that's under Hilton to burn your points. But I was actually really surprised looking at this list at how close Hilton is to Marriott. So Hilton has 210 million and Marriott has 228. I don't know why. I think it just speaks to like the branding power of Marriott that I thought they would be like far and away like the leader in that. But it just goes to show you why there is so much emphasis on these loyalty points, keeping customers, trying to build out these robust ecosystems, because it's very close for the top players. And then you see some of the small ones, like Sonesta has 7 million, not even really on the map there in terms of loyalty.
Yeah. Well, I want to make a point back to what Michael was saying. Points don't equal loyalty. And I got that quote from Jeff Lowe, who's the founder of Stash Hotel Rewards, when we were talking last week for an episode on Slick Talk. So stay tuned. But it's really interesting because like he made a great point and great comment. Like, I'm loyal to my barber, right? Because my barber knows what I like. He knows how to do it good and consistently. And he's like a good person, right? And there's that personalization piece. There's that good feeling. There's good quality. I'm loyal to him. If he ever leaves the shop that he's at, I'm following him, right? It's gotten to that point. Like Michael pointed out, he's loyal to where his points lie, and points do not equal loyalty. So I'm an IHG member, I'm a Hilton, I'm a Hyatt, I'm a Marriott guy. Like, I prefer to fly Alaska Airlines. I prefer to stay at a Marriott hotel, but also price and all these other things come into play. So I'm not going to be loyal to those brands to the extent that I'm loyal to my barber, or to that I am to what X, Y, and Z type service or product, like I am to Apple, right? Like, Apple's always been consistent. I never have issues with my computers or my iPads or my phone or whatever. It's like, I'm an Apple guy. I'm loyal to that brand versus Android or anything else. So I think loyalty is, like you said, Michael, very interesting, because it's not loyalty in terms of this chart or the article kind of mentioned.
They started out as loyalty programs, 100%. And some of the stuff still exists, right? You stay, my dad traveled every week and stayed in a Marriott, all over the country, whatever. They knew whenever he checked in, he wants this room that's like as far away from the elevator. He wants 2 extra towels. He wants, whatever they knew it. He was a diamond or whatever their premium thing is.
The diamond medallion, blah, blah, blah.
Right. So, but
their status, there's like a piece of your profile carries with that to that property, right?
That property, but that brand as well. Yeah. And, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, they do a great job of delivering that to their premium guests. But most of us have points with them. We're gold or silver because our credit card gave us that status. And it doesn't really mean anything. It just means they make you feel a little bit more special. So then maybe you'll burn more points or earn more points with them. And they know nothing about me as a traveler. They've never asked my preferences of room types. They've never asked, there isn't that two-way street like you're talking about, Will, where the relationship has been built. But the relationship has been built with my wallet in the means of points. And to kind of get back to how this ties in with short-term rentals and outdoor hotels and whatnot, they have to continuously find ways to burn points, because whenever you have a point system, that's a liability on their balance sheet. They're sitting on credits that I could redeem at any point in time. So their goal is to make me burn those as quick as possible by offering me things that I want to go experience and go and stay there. So I love the approach that the hotels are taking. It's very interesting, the affiliate approach that a lot of the hotels are starting to do versus just franchise or flag. But
let's bring up your post. Explain that a little bit more, because I thought your post on LinkedIn was really interesting. Insightful conversation, insightful way of thinking of the affiliate association. So let's bring that up real quick.
Yeah. So Skift wrote a great article. I mean, we've touched on it here, but like I was saying, the flags are looking for ways to burn points. And so they're doing affiliate deals, basically becoming an OTA for brands like Sonder, Trailborn, Under Canvas, AutoCamp. And there's more. And I think a lot more of the flags see this happening, and there's just going to be an arms race. So what does that mean in short-term rentals? Does Costigo sign with one brand in particular? Does Romy sign with one brand in particular? The numbers are there, right? Everyone wants to be with Marriott or Hilton. They're neck and neck. And then the next tier, like Hyatt, Wyndham, and then the next tier, right? So it does matter which brand you align with, but at the same time, that's distribution into a network of people that are sitting on points. And it's, if you can chew away 5% from the OTAs or whatever, just to diversify your unit mix, that's a big win.
Yeah. And I think, in relation to short-term rentals, it's how does our industry get involved in this loyalty game? How do we tap into these, millions of people, hundreds of millions, billions of points that are sitting there? How do we tap into that? And really, I to your point, I think the affiliate route is interesting. I don't think, someone in your comments mentioned, is Airbnb ever going? Mark Lupin asked, will Airbnb ever start a rewards program? I don't think we're going to see that, at least any time soon. And so it's a struggle, I think, for operators. And before, off camera, we had some conversation about, operators starting their own loyalty programs or membership programs. And I just think that this part is the most elusive, like how to build that yourself is very, very difficult. And so, it'll be interesting to see if any of the big players like Costigo can show us the way for some of the smaller players.
Well, to that, Brandy, though, like I think the thing, like, and I agree with you, it's very hard to create these programs, but it's not like the data and the information isn't there for us to collect and start doing, right? Like if you use a CRM, there's plenty of industry or non-industry CRMs out there. You gain email access to who your guests are, whether it's through a Wi-Fi access or just whatever you have to do in order to get creative to get those emails, to create these programs and memberships. I'm a member at this hotel called the Clayton Hotel here in downtown Denver. And it's a co-working space, and I think it's great because they were thinking outside their ADRs, right? This is very hard for vacation rental management companies. I get it, because diverse inventory or dispersed inventory, sorry. But, Matt at Red Cottage has proven this is example that, subscription type membership drives loyalty. Not everyone's going to sign up for it, but those who stay at a Red Cottage property once, twice a year, for sure, it makes sense for them to spend the whatever the membership fee is and get these discounts and get these exclusive swag, retail kind of e-commerce pieces. And there's a lot of creativity out there. And I think that's what our industry does so well. The vacation rental industry is so creative in so many ways because we have to be, right? And I think if we use the tools to our advantage, and yes, use distribution tools, or become part of a homes and villas program or something like that in the meantime. But at the end of the day, you should be building your own. I don't think it's pick one of these loyalty programs or die. It's pick one that maybe works for you for now, but like keep building. You should definitely be building your own type of loyalty, personalization. There are tools out there that do allow this to happen. So it just comes down to how long are you willing to build, especially if you're not like looking to create a company that's going to be around for a long time. I don't think it makes sense. But if you're here to build a legacy property management company that is here through 30 years, 40 years, yeah, I definitely think it's totally worth it.
I think we're just on the tip of the iceberg on the loyalty component, because I mean, a large part of the affiliate stuff with the major flags, Sonder and Marriott, for example, I think we can assume that they have a first right of refusal to buy them at some future point. So it's a way to kind of secure an acquisition in the future, potentially, if the brands like each other, the numbers look good, et cetera. But in terms of how people view loyalty, but more importantly, earning and burning points, is evolving a lot. And you mentioned Stash, Will, Journey. The hotel flags are the what's it, 90,000 pound gorilla, whatever that saying is. My brain's not
500
fully
pound
firing
gorilla
right now. Yeah, something
90,000.
like that. That sounds like a heavy gorilla.
That's
a
King
big
Kong.
gorilla. King Kong, yeah. But I do think there is room for it. And then the Expedia, I mean, they're a behemoth, right? But can they convert this into a meaningful program? I think starting with a credit card makes total sense. People starting to earn meaningful points. I mean, I had a loyalty thing with Booking for a while, but I never really understood the program, and I don't think I ever got anything back as a result of it. So you just have to make it clear, let people try and start to gamify it. And once people are starting to gamify your points program, then you're in a really good spot, because then you've got some adoption, and if you're able to gamify it, or some people are able to gamify it, then other people are going to try and follow suit. So I do think this is going to be continuously evolving segments within hospitality. Who wins? I don't know. I really do like the affiliate play by the flags. It makes a ton of sense for them and for the partner. But I don't know if it stops there. I think there's other ways to capitalize on it.
I'm curious, in the next 5 years, you have so many different loyalty points or programs that are competing for your money. And it's like, okay, am I just going to spread myself thin and try to be a member of like all of these different things? Or am I just going to really dedicate all of my money towards this one credit card? And like, I have an example, like I have an American Airlines credit card, because much like you, I am forced to choose. Well, you're forced to choose Delta, which is the better scenario, but I'm forced to choose American because Miami is an American hub. So I have that card, but then also the Chase Sapphire Reserve, that's a card where, it is much more broad. I can use those points on a number of things. It's not one brand specific. And so then I'm thinking like, okay, would I add another like credit card or another loyalty program? Like how far is my money being spread? Am I going to get worse benefits or worse things because I only have a few points in each place? Or do I just pick one and concentrate all of my money there, and then, can get maybe like, first class tickets to Southeast Asia or something, a big purchase?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it started out as a loyalty to one, and that was who you stuck with. And now it's opened up to this game of, hey, how many points can I get across the board? And I think it's going to, I think just prediction, it's going to slowly start going dwindled down. It's going to be like, okay, what one do I actually use the most? What one do I actually get the most benefits? What one actually takes care of me better when I check in, or when I get my upgrade, or when I get this, right? Like, it's eventually going to come down to quality versus quantity. And one of the kind of comments I was thinking about earlier is, brands create members. Hosts or individuals that don't really create a brand, get whatever the OTA or the platform gives them. So I think when it comes to this, it's really important to think about brand and to think about what that brand means to your users. I think it's a true testament to what Expedia has done, to what Marriott's done, to what Hilton's done, to Red Cottage, for an example, to like, all these companies that have these programs. It's all about brand, and eventually there's going to be a kind of a dwindling down of how many brands people are going to pick their loyalty to.
I like that vision, the loyalty to the points, and then ultimately back to the loyalty. People when they travel, they want to experience, they want to feel special, right? And nobody feels special if everybody has gold or silver at this hotel, and it really doesn't mean anything except maybe you sign in over here instead of over here.
Well, guess like when you go on to Expedia or Booking, guess what? You automatically become a member when you try to book with them. So it's like, okay, I guess like I'm a member now. Great. For the one time I'm going to book this one stay because it's cheaper or whatever the situation is. It's like, is that really loyalty? It's not. It's just everyone's getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it goes back to Brandy's comment of are we going away from loyalty and into points? I like your world, Will, where we get back to actual loyalty, but it's going to be a while. We're in the points earn and burn phase of the cycle, and we're going to be here for a hot minute.
Apparently, the only thing I'm loyal to is this one bookstore in Miami.
But it's local. It's a good local experience. They know you. They probably say hi Brandy when you walk in.
It's and always support local booksellers. Barnes and Noble and Amazon don't need it.
Agreed.
But yeah, so we'll see how this plays out. I think the thing I'm most interested in that'll happen in the near term is seeing how Vrbo manages the integration into, or getting a host to be merchant of record, and to see if people this time around put up a huge fuss, or if people are, more, willing to accept that as a potential to gain more customers.
For sure. And to be honest, I behind the scenes, we're talking about, Alabama passed a law that is stating that OTAs have to allow the property managers and operators be the merchant of record. And I texted Ginger Harrison from Beach Ball Properties, and she said that it went into effect October 1st of last year, and Airbnb is still not compliant. So there's some interesting laws and things happening with merchant of record situations. So it's not just Vrbo. There are states and destinations that are big advocates of staying as the merchant of record. So the story will continue to follow.
To be fair to Vrbo, they are compliant on that one. So it is a vast change in how Airbnb approaches it. And I think your merchant of record states, the North Carolinas of the world, trust accounting are going to start to require that. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. So let people control their income. Don't have a middleman sitting in the middle. But
more people are taking from the pie.
You have to.
In terms of points.
It's a giant puzzle.
Yes. Well, lovely episode, lovely conversation. Always great to see you guys. For the listeners, for the morning people out there, make sure you like and subscribe to our newsletter. We are back up and running, and it is going out every week. So first one went out last week, right before our Good Morning Outdoors crew went live on Thursday morning. Covered a wide range of amazing topics, and Matt and Alex have crushed it for their first episode. So if you're into the outdoor segment, then you definitely need to listen to Good Morning Outdoors. And Paul Manzi, you are correct. You don't mess with Ginger. She is one feisty one, especially on LinkedIn. So good. Always seeing the insights that she drops and the way that she is embracing business in our industry. It's just incredible. So shout out to all of our morning people that tune in live. Paul, Jeremy, we love seeing you guys. And of course, don't forget the other GMH ecosystem crews out there. We got Europe on Tuesdays, hotels on Wednesdays, and of course, outdoors on Thursdays. What are we going to do on Fridays? I don't know. Late night espressos. What are we thinking, guys? I'm thinking we got to have something, but eventually we'll get there. But for all of you guys out there, thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, like always, we'll see you again next week.